Hey guys, welcome back again. It's Miss Cassidy. For the second day of class today, remember once more, don't forget your heading, name, date, grade, and section, and our objective and I can statement. Our objective for class today is to understand the purpose of the signposts. And our I can statement is I can understand and recognize the signposts in literature. Miss Cassidy, what are you talking about? What signposts? Well, you're about to learn about them if you've never heard them before. So we're going to go to the note and notice in our reading model of The Brave Little Toaster. That's the name of the story that you guys are going to be reading. You're about to read the short story, The Brave Little Toaster. In it, you will notice and note signposts that will give you clues about the story's plots, characters, and themes. Here are 3 key signposts to look for as you read this short story and other works of fiction. So the first one we're going to focus on, our first signpost, is again and again. Let's say if a friend keeps mentioning the math test that's coming up next week. What might you conclude by that? Perhaps your friend is nervous about the test and would like some help studying. Or maybe he's concerned that you might need some help studying. Whatever it is, the math test is clearly on his mind. When an author repeats something, ask yourself, is there a message behind it? Paying attention to something you read again and again can show how different parts of a story are connected, provide clues to the story's theme or lesson, reveal a character's traits and personality, and it can create tension as you wonder how the pattern might change as you keep reading. There's this little part of The Brave Little Toaster that a student found and annotated on. And when I say annotate, it's when you guys, highlight. So it's from paragraph 15 and 16. I'm no drink, I'm no meal, Loony Goony sang. I'm a furious lump of steel. The dishwasher wouldn't wash it. I don't mean to annoy or chafe, but I'm simply not dishwasher safe. The toilet wouldn't flush it. I don't belong in the bog, because down there I'm sure to clog. The windows wouldn't retract their safety screen to let it drop, but that wasn't much of a surprise. So why are these words highlighted? So our anchor question would be, when you notice this signpost, you should ask yourself, why might the author keep bringing this up? So what pattern is repeated? Loony Goony speaks in rhymes. And why might the author have created this pattern? The rhymes are funny, but also make Loony Goony seem kind of annoying. So that is what you call an again and again signpost. When you notice one of the following while reading, pause to see if it's an again and again signpost, a word or phrase that rings a bell from earlier in the story, a familiar pattern of events or actions, an object or image that appears more than once, words a character repeats at different points in the story. So I thought that it would be fun if we watched a video that might, give you a little more clarity on what this signpost is and how it works. So I hope that clarified everything for you guys. That's what we know as an again and again signpost. Now remember I told you there were 3, so we just saw one. We're going to move on to the next one. Contrast and contradictions. There are some things you expect to be the same every day. The sun will rise, birds will sing, the neighbor's dog will bark. What if one day the birds barked and a dog said good morning? That would get your attention, wouldn't it? When something happens in a story that goes against your expectations, you'll want to pay attention to it. Contrast and contradictions often give you a deeper insight into a character or into the story setting. If a character suddenly does or thinks something unexpected, or a detail about the setting strikes you as surprising, take the time to consider what it means. The title of the story you're about to read, The Brave Little Toaster, contains an example of contrast and contradiction. If you notice, the two words that are annotated or highlighted are brave and toaster. So your anchor question here would be, when you notice a signpost, you could ask yourself, why did the character act that way? What contradiction is expressed in the title? A toaster really, it can't really be brave. What are some ways the story might explain this contradiction? A toaster could be a brave character in a science fiction story, or the title could be meant as a joke. So we're not really clear on that, are we? We're going to watch another video now about contrasts and contradictions just to clarify it a little more for you guys.
Notice and note lesson 2. In this lesson, you will learn the first signpost, explain contrasts and contradictions, identify contrasts and contradictions in your reading, and memorize the anchor question. Be sure to have your whisk, markers or crayons, and a pencil ready to go. Let's begin by thinking about one of the ways an author shows us how a character in a story is changing and developing. We will call this contrast and contradictions. Let's think about Harry Potter. You may have read these books or even seen one of the movies. Think about the character Hermione. She is a kid in wizarding school who always does her homework, always studies, and always wants the teacher to know that she has the answer. So what would you think if one day Hermione came to class and didn't have her homework done? Pause the video while you write down your thoughts. If you wrote that it would be strange for Hermione to not have her homework, you'd be right. Not doing her homework is just not part of Hermione's personality. That behavior change contradicts what we expect her to do. When authors show us something that doesn't fit with what we expect, or when they present us with a contrast or contradiction, then we have to pause and ask ourselves the anchor question, why would the character act this way? Let's write this definition down on our notes. When you are done, your anchor chart should look similar to mine. To the right of the signpost, write, when you're reading and a character says or does something that's opposite, contradicts, what he or she has been saying or doing all along, you should stop and ask yourself, why is the character doing that? Pause the video to complete this section of your notes. Now that we know our first notice and note signpost, we are going to be on the lookout for it as we read. When we notice that there is a contrast or contradiction with how a character has been acting or how I expect the character to act, we are going to stop and ask ourselves the anchor question, why is the character doing that? As we answer this question, you're going to learn more about the character, learn about his or her internal conflict. Sometimes you'll learn about the theme, the important life lesson the author is trying to share, and it can also help us make predictions and make inferences about the plot. Pause the video to write this section.
Okay, so that's what contrast and contradict is. I hope that was clear for you guys. We're going to move on to the last one of our signposts for the story, The Brave Little Toaster. We have our aha moment. Some problems or questions can't be resolved quickly. You have to think about them over a period of time. Then the answer may come to you all at once. In a story, such moments often mark a turning point for the main character. His or her new understanding may take the story's action in a new direction. A character experiencing an aha moment may finally realize what the problem is, understand why another character did or said something, discover a way to resolve a conflict or solve a problem, and reach a bordered understanding about life. Now, in this example, a student underlined the aha moment they found in this paragraph. But the food hadn't been spoiled. Mr. Toussaint pored over his refrigerator diagnostics and log files, and soon enough, he had the answer. It was the energy beverage, of course. So if you notice, had the answer and of course are the ones that are annotated or highlighted. So your anchor question would be, when you notice this signpost, ask yourself, how might this change things? What words tell you Mr. Toussaint has figured something out? He had the answer, of course. How might this be connected to the story's conflict? If Mr. Toussaint had figured out what was causing his problem, that might help him resolve the conflict itself. So let's go back here for a moment and look at a couple of things you should look out for in an aha moment. When you see phrases like these, pause to see if there is an aha moment. All of a sudden, for the first time, finally she understood, I realized, and it all made sense now. So that's what an aha moment is. And again, of course, yes, I have a video to explain it a little better for you guys.
Let's learn about another signpost called aha moments. Aha moments will be a very easy signpost for you to remember because you've experienced aha moments in your life already. Think about this. Have you ever walked into class and everyone's flipping through notes and studying? And then you suddenly remember you were supposed to study last night. There's a test. That's an aha moment. What about if you hear a joke and at first you don't understand, then minutes or hours later something clicks and you finally get it? That's an aha moment. Aha moments are those moments that we realize something and it changes our actions. Authors make these aha moments very easy to notice. They'll have the character say something like, "Suddenly I realized. In an instant I knew. It came to me in a flash. I now knew." Or "I finally understood." Author put these phrases here to signal to us readers to stop. This is an important part in the character's experiences. We need to stop and think about it. So when you're reading and suddenly a character realizes, understands, or finally figures something out, you need to stop there and ask yourself, how might this change things? In an aha moment, one of two things may be happening for that character. First, if the moment is when a character figures out a problem, the question, how might this change things, will lead us to information about the conflict of the story. Second, if the aha moment is when a character understands a life lesson, then the question, how might this change things, will lead us to understand the theme or the message of the story. Quick review. Aha moment. The moments in your life or in a character in your story's life that make you go, aha, now I understand. That's an aha moment. When you find one of those in a story, ask yourself, how might this change things for the character or for the story?
Okay, so I think that helps clarify